Welcome to Things You Might Have Heard. I am Jake Payne, and I have plenty of news for you today. 8 news stories in the queue from stories you deem as conversational. You told us they're worthy of chatting up, and I picked some. You can be the judge on whether I picked the right ones this morning. 8 stories on the way, including stories about Morning Joe, both of the Joes, although the only one's really named Joe. Jeremy Allen White is in the news in a kind of an interesting way, and Beyonce, because if she's on the news, we got to bring her up, and you guys called her a conversational story. Now, the vetting process on how these stories get to be in our headline show here, we'll explain that at the end of all the headlines, plus bring you some other things that will hopefully brighten your day. And so stay tuned for the whole entire shebang. Our website, this is theconversationproject.com, is our home for stuff for the Conversation Project, why we do this, how we do this, and where you can find us in other places. And email us with your comments, concerns, and yes, complaints the conversation email, conversations email box, the conversation projects email box, which is the conversation inbox at gmail.com. Slow it down. A little too much caffeine this morning, getting into a very long Monday. It's going to be a fairly long week prepping for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. But let's get into the news for today. Today being Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. If I've not said that yet so far, these stories are not in any particular order per se, but we'll give you some context on which ones may have been more engaging for you and how we got a chance to choose these instead of other ones in the headline description. Starting off right off the bat, because we got to get dark. We got to get this out of the way. There's more darker things coming, but this is one that's been in the news. And now it may be a bit of a comeuppance, if you will, as we're going to not focus on Sean Combs, but on the accusers, and specifically an attorney who is representing many of the accusers. The attorney for many Diddy accusers sued for alleged extortion plot. Tony Busby, representing over 100 individuals alleging sexual misconduct with Sean Combs, is now facing a lawsuit accusing him for orchestrating the extortion scheme. Filed on November 18th in Los Angeles Superior Court and by anonymous plaintiff identified as John Doe, lawsuit claims that Busby demanded exorbitant sums from the plaintiff, threatening to file a lawsuit containing fabricated allegations of sexual assault, including multiple incidents of rape of minors if demands were not met. Plaintiff asserts that Busby's actions constitute a shameless attempt to extort money. Busby is known for being involved in high-profile cases, so this is not anything that's new. He represented Sean Watson and Travis Scott, representing them specifically, and he's not responding publicly to these allegations that he's trying to basically outdo himself by representing people who are going to attack Sean Combs. It adds a bit of complexity to the Combs lawsuit, where there's a whole lot of mess, a whole lot of ugly into this thing. But this is something that we have seen before in large cases, including one Miss Stormy Daniels, of course, her lawyer, Mr. Alvin, who essentially was running the show and getting all the stuff, the goods good against Donald Trump in those cases, only to be led to an extortion case by the client saying that he was just taking money from her, and now he's serving jail time. Well, Busby sees the same thing as his 100 clients are pushing against Sean Combs, and there's a couple pushing against Busby and the push of Sean Combs. Maybe this is a big grab for Mr. Busby. Maybe it is actual justice for Sean Combs. Time will have to tell on this one. The Morning Joe team, the team that is essentially the actual Joe Park, Joe and Mika Brzezinski, Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, had a meeting with Trump a few days ago. They went down to Mar-a-Lago to more or less kiss the ring like everyone else is doing. They're looking for a new approach to coverage because things are different. And what's happening with this meeting? They're getting blasted by both sides. Number one, the meeting at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump to mark the first in-person interaction in about 7 years since he essentially became the president and then started mocking them. And so they decided to call him evil, all sorts of things, aimed at restarting communications with the Trump team. So that the host went down there to, face some of the history they had between the two. They emphasized the fact that going forward, they needed to get new details, new levels of integrations of their talking, new ways to communicate. So to get bigger things into the Trump White House and the MAGA world itself, they went down there to make this happen. Now, among the people who are the real ejectors, real people who really don't like this, are folks who are fans of Trump, Republicans and conservatives who have basically been trying to shield Trump from the talk that people like Joe and Mika have been doing for the past 7 years. Remember, before Trump got elected, he was on MSNBC in the show all the time. He was actually sort of friends with Joe and Mika in a sense. And then all of a sudden he turned into, the actual Donald Trump and he stopped doing these things. So Republicans are like, this is pretty hypocritical. You're all just trying to get back into good graces because you know he's in charge and repercussions are coming. And on the Democratic side, on people who are more anti-Trump, even though Scarborough, technically a Republican, more or less independent, I guess, are saying this is all hypocritical. You're just trying to get on Trump's good side because you know there are repercussions coming, and you're just being weak-minded people. Your mileage may vary, but essentially the same argument on both sides. They're both being weak-minded people. We will see what happens with Morning Joe. I'm not sure if it's ratings are an issue or if access is an issue for the show, but we will see if that's going to be a big deal on the political scene now that Donald Trump is back in town. And so more shows like Fox News and Newsmax, those places like that, will have more of the clout because, you know, Trump just sort of calls and talks to them all the time. Maybe we'll get a phone call to Joe and Mika with Trump sometime in the new White House. Maybe. Let's speak of the new White House for just a moment. Did you know that Steve Bannon was in jail? Did you realize that for 6 months out before the election, there was not a lot of Steve Bannon talk because he couldn't talk very much because he was in jail? Not that his words weren't getting out to people, but you know he can't really do a podcast from the prison break room. So then he got out about a few weeks before the election. He went straight to podcast and straight to being the mouthpiece that he is, and giving whatever actual influence he has on the next incoming administration. Although Elon seems to be taking up all that gas right now. Now, Steve Bannon may go back to jail, which means more quiet Steve Bannon, but this is not based off him being in contempt for just not talking to Congress. This is his border wall fraud trial, postponed till February, though. This is related to the We Build the Wall fundraising campaign that he had going on, where he was going to go ahead and build the wall anyway, raise some money from y'all out there. And y'all paid him a bunch of money, and he wasn't actually putting any money into building a wall, making it a fraud. We'd call it a Ponzi scheme, but it is actually an insult to Ponzi in itself. How bad this thing was. It's basically looking for he's finished 4 months in his contempt of Congress time. Now this is going to be real time if it actually goes through. We shall see what's going on. Of course, New York City, Alvin Bragg, that Manhattan district, all that stuff's going to happen. We'll see if defrauding the donors for this fund is going to send them to jail for actual time as opposed to just the 4 months of just quiet time and mostly reflection, mostly just kind of spa day types. We've talked about Spirit Airlines a lot lately, not in good trends. Essentially, Spirit Airlines was the first airline we talked about that Haitians are dealing with as gang members are shooting at the planes in the airport there. And a lot of airplane shootings apparently going on a lot of places. That's a trend. Another trend is for businesses going out of business or bankruptcy, and that's what's happening right now with Spirit. The budget travel icon airline is filing for bankruptcy for protection for its mounting losses. Chapter 11 bankruptcy to basically reshuffle its assets, basically stay in business. They secured $350 million in equity investments and $300 million in debt to possession financing from bondholders to make this thing happen. Now, the restructuring deal plans to reduce their $3.6 billion debt by $795 million, which is not a lot of money. There's a whole lot to go. But the biggest issue Spirit has is they can't seem to get sold. They can't sell themselves or merger anybody else. And with that last merger being axed by the feds, it essentially was the last deal that was going to save this airline or the airplanes and the people who worked for it. Even if the name would have changed, the spirit of it, if you will, would still be there. Spirit Airlines not looking good to trying to make up a whole lot of losses. We will see how this one plays out in bankruptcy court and court of public opinion, as right now, airlines aren't exactly getting the love that many of these companies would like to get from the people because they're airlines. Let's take a break to pause. Take a break to pause. That's a redundant. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a pause and we're going to ask you for a little bit of assistance. We're going to ask that if you enjoy what you're watching here or any of the audios or any of the typing stuff, anything that's related to our newsy stuff or even our fun stuff with things you might ought to know, that you like this presentation, like this one, like whatever you're seeing out there, like the shorts, like what's going on, like what you see coming from us here at the Conversation Project, so more people can get it seen in their algorithm juice, or if they see it already, they'll see the actual see the social proof, and they'll say, hey, this guy might have something worthy of checking out. Let's check it out. If you know people who enjoy the newscast, just sort of like this, with news that's pretty much the actual cast and commentary that tries to stay pretty much right down the middle, I try really hard. Share it with folks who are like-minded, who like this kind of stuff as well. And we are trying to do more in the spread of news beyond what we have time and slide us forward for this morning program, two more things going out there, including last night we did something on the cruise that's going around the world. People needing to escape America for a couple of years. You might know where this is going for. And one on Sunday about the Taliban asking for help from the international world, the people out there in the nations, but not quite ready to be something less than the Taliban. If you like more stuff like that, more news that gets lost in the shuffle, share this with folks so they see it coming forward, and subscribe if you're not subscribed right now. Make sure you can see us when we pop up either live as we record this live, broadcast this live. It's currently 5:41 a.m. on Central Time on this 19th of November, or whenever you want to catch it out. We see the ratings from our YouTube stats. It shows that our audience doesn't actually wake up for another hour or so. So when you see this and get your morning news, we want to be there for you. Subscribe so you make sure you can see us. Share it with folks who would enjoy this as well, and like it so that folks that who are just seeing us in their feeds, seeing us in the algorithm juice, get a chance to get a choice on what's pretty good. Back to the news. Back to the UK. And this is an interesting story. It happened a few weeks ago in October. Two masked individuals breached the Windsor Castle estate and went to the Shaw Farm, which is right there close to Iredell Cottage. That's where Prince William and Kate Middleton live, and their children as well. The headline for this, of course, the masked men reportedly break into the castle farm and they basically steal farm equipment. It's a basic robbery. The intruders used a stolen vehicle to crash through a security gate, scale the 6-foot fence to access the property, and then they stole a black Isuzu pickup truck and a red quad bike from the barn estates. So it looks like it's not a real theft, if you will, not essentially the crime of the century. They just joyriding and wanted to break into the Duke and Duchess's house and steal some stuff. That's just saying they can. How they're going to do is by selling that truck or using that mic. Probably not going to happen very much. Probably going to be stuck in a closet someplace, garage someplace. We can't do much with that. This is not a public entrance. It's not any issues to staffing or anyone else involved. This is a very far back entrance to the farm area, which is near, but not exactly wide open to the house. No one was hurt in this incident, and that's the real important thing here. But just ruffians, shenanigans, they do those things over there as well. All is safe for the Duke and Duchess of for William the Prince and of course Kate there in their home. We're not going to talk about Matt Gaetz today. He has his own issues with allegations on sexual misconduct. He has lots of issues on that one, but he is not the focus of today. Today, we're talking about Pete Hegseth, who is getting more support from Trump. Trump's still backing him, but he himself is denying a sexual assault allegation, a specific one, where he is accused of paying or making a payment or made a payment to the accuser to quiet things down. And now it's coming to light, so the quiet's no longer there. So, as a host, a weekend host on Fox News, Pete Hegseth was there at the time during the Me Too blast, where many folks were getting essentially fired for finding out about sexual misconduct within the ranks and what's going on. A lot of that was inside of the actual ranks of the workplace. But in 2017, an encounter happened. And I'm going to paraphrase it from listening to it. I'm going to read the story because we're little going a little long in the full show. Hegseth was accused by a woman of assault following an event where that he says he was drunk. He went to his room, but she says he was basically flirting with folks. He got agitated because nobody essentially wanted to kind of go with him. He went to his room. Another woman followed him. He was drunk. She was not. He was basically assaulted. She was the aggressor. Flip the story around. The woman wakes up in that room. She doesn't remember anything. Her husband, because she's there with her husband, was trying to find her for 6 hours. She returns back to the room. Everything's good. The next day, she had some foggy memories come back. She went to a hospital, had a procedure done, did a rape kit, found there was traces of semen, and accused Pete Hegseth of course, assaulting her. Although Hegseth said she was the aggressor, it was all on her. And to keep things quiet, because he didn't want to lose his job, about 2.5 years later down the line, he paid the couple, because they were trying to force this into a trial, and to get a non-disclosure agreement. So we don't know the details going on. Pete's not talking about it. The couple's not talking about it. However, a person involved with the incident, a friend of the incident person, sent a memo to the House or to the Senate committees that would actually go to reviewing this case and make sure it got leaked that it happened. So we know something happened, and we don't know the full details because non-disclosure agreement. But we will know more soon because it will come to light what's going on. Remember, this is not the actual couple who are getting this out there. This is someone out there who's leaking it on the side. Whether it will break the actual non-disclosure agreement, have issues that will that will have replications online, we don't know. We don't have any sort of identity to the woman at the case, but obviously we know who Pete Hegseth is and why, oh why that could be a problem. Last week or week before last, we talked about the lookalike contest for Timothy Chalamet, and this week we're going to somebody a little less majestic, if you will, more humble, held in Humboldt Park, if you will, Chicago, where last week Jeremy Allen White lookalike contest was held with only 50 guys who thought they looked like the actor showing up um, to look like Carney Berzato, the actor or the actual character from the series The Bear. So 50 white guys showed up at the park dressed up like short order cooks. It was a lighthearted event that was just supposed to be something small between roommates Kelsey Cassandro and Taylor Vasky. And then people got a bit excited as the promo flyer went viral. Men, women, and a toddler donned a white t shirt and aprons mirroring White's character from the show. A 37-year-old mental health therapist named Ben Shabbat was crowned the winner. He received a $50 cash prize, pack of cigarettes, blue ribbon featuring Carmi's image, and a trophy. Not everyone got a trophy, just the winner. If you're watching the video, you see the guy who looks a lot like the guy in this lighthearted event going forward. No, White did not show up and kind of show that he actually looked more better than the other guys. It was not a Jeremy Allen White appearance. Unlike Timothy Chalamet is looking over there like, hey, those guys look like me. What's going on over there? Then this didn't quite happen, but a fun look for Chicago nonetheless. How about a fun look for Houston and Netflix? Maybe. As Beyonce has been announced to play the NFL halftime show for the next Netflix game that's going to be Ravens and Texans on Christmas Day. Beyonce is set to perform during the halftime show for the NFL game between the Texans and the Ravens on December 25th, 2024. A Christmas present to all of us, assuming the Netflix can actually stream the game without issues. We're just going to say that and back away from that one. Taking place at Energy Stadium in Houston, marking a significant occasion for Netflix's first live NFL broadcast. Since Beyonce is a homer there, they're going to let her take the stage and do what she does. Of course, happening. The game is going to start about 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Halftime show should be about 6 o'clock based on the time of the game going at Energy Stadium live on Netflix. It's going to be the album debut performance. First time she's doing some live songs from Cowboy Carter. 11 Grammy nominations on that issues. Special guests are expected to be there. No one's been out there, but we're expected to hear Texas Hold'em and American Requiem and maybe some of the stars that featured on that album. And maybe she'll throw a ring on it too, just because people love that song too. But this should be an ode to Cowboy Carter. Maybe some Beehive stuff from the past in there. We'll see how this one plays out on Christmas Day, if it happens. Let's move to our teaser section. This is the part where we transition from the news as presented to you from the day and the news that can be presented for you going forward. This is where we talk about our teaser stories and how our feeds work, how you get a chance to pick the stories every single weekday for the conversation projects, things you might not have heard. Now, what you do is very simple. You literally do pick the stories. You go to our feeds, our links on Facebook, on Twitter, on X, on Threads, and as we post news articles on those feeds, while you're checking your feeds and seeing what's going on, check out a couple of links to see what we're talking about and see if the stories there are worthy of us chatting up, whether because they're great stories or you really, really hate them and want to kind of sort of rage tweet about them. So engage in them. You like them, you love them, you hate them, you comment on them, you share them. The higher engagement you give to a story, the better chance we have of talking about it in the next iteration. Today, we gave you 8 stories from the top 15 or 16 from the 30 or so that were posted throughout the day. We just took those top ones, looked at them, shuffled them around, and gave you what we thought was the best cut. Tomorrow, same thing. Thursday and Friday, same thing. 8 stories from the top half of the news story for the day. Today is one that I'm not sure is going to make it because most of you people really much hate news, even though you do watch me for news. The headline that we're teasing, and it's going to take a while to get to it. Associated Press has cut 8% of staff through layoffs and buyouts. A much bigger story, obviously, than that. But this is more along the lines of the death of the news media, the dying of the news media, the change in the news media, as traditional media and people showing up for offices with Perry White yelling at them to type faster and get the copyright is no longer a thing. So, because the model for paying for media, ads doesn't work, and because the media itself is more or less cheaper, faster, and easier for folks like me to produce, layoffs at traditional media is happening. Do you want to talk about this one tomorrow? You just give it the love it deserves, or maybe the hate you want to give to it by engaging the story on Facebook, on X, on Threads. Facebook.com/This is the Conversation Project, X.com/TH underscore conversation. And yes, on Threads, threads.net/at this is the conversation. Check it out. Look at the stories, Derek. Engage in them. Tell us what stories seem like they're more worthy of chatting up. We'll pick the 8 that were the best in the fit. Today, did talk about Beyonce and the NFL halftime show because it was a story we teased. It was in the feeds. You guys gave it the love that you wanted to, and it was a story in today's headlines. You don't get a chance to pick our sponsor. I pick our sponsors, but you get a chance to keep them in rotation when you buy from them. And AppSumo is a sponsor that you guys seem to love, and you should love them a lot this week. The day, especially because this whole week, the week before Thanksgiving, Black Friday deals are abound for AppSumo customers. Now, if you are a freelancer, if you are an entrepreneur, a small business owner, and you're looking for some great tools to help you break out of your rut and not break your bank, AppSumo is there for you. If you've not heard of them, I have banded about them many, many times as I am a well-traveled shopper for AppSumo well before I got into their actual affiliate program system. And they give you tools and software at unbeatable prices. And the prices are so revolutionary. You'll have to so hang on here a second. So essentially, most of these deals are for lifetime deals. Some of them are for limit supplies of a very low price to get in a lot of credits for things or a lot of early access and stuff. But these are deals where you pay for an upfront cost that is actually less than the actual cost of the regular deal, and you get that subscription for life, and it's wonderful. These are many very brand new programs that are helping you out with some of the brand new technologies, a lot of AI, a lot of management for product and business flow. And so, if you want to get on something that's not the mainstream competitor, these are the guys trying to fight those guys. Get a low price, get a lifetime deal, and if a lifetime is not good enough, a 60-day money back guarantee if you don't like them within that 2 months. How about that? And they're dropping Black Friday deals right now. So use our link, our affiliate link, so we get some affiliate juice. We get a small commission. It costs you nothing extra. This is the conversationproject.com/appsumo. This is the conversationproject.com appsumo. Tell Uncle Noah that we sent you. He'll invite you in for a drink, have a sandwich, whatnot, and just talk life and talk business and give you great deals from AppSumo. The Conversation Project lives online at thisisconversationproject.com. We are the home for news and conversation. How you like them apples? We give you the best in conversational news because we give you stories and you tell us which are conversational and we chat about them. This is not a real monologue. I know this is just me in a microphone on a camera, yakking at you guys with news stories, but it's not really meant to be a monologue. It's meant to be a dialogue and a conversation. So we're looking for ways to have more conversations. We're trying to put more stories out there for you to engage in and comment on in ways of videos and short takes and audios and things like that. We give you our email address, the conversation inbox, gmail.com. We chat you up on those things all the time. We're looking for some help. So if you want to help out, check out our sponsors. Those are ways to directly fund us. Check out our partnerships page at our website. Excuse me. Partnership page is a way that you can directly fund us with our not quite Patreon. We use Buy Me a Coffee, but a subscription to help us fund things going forward. Engage in the stories, like, love, share, engage in the stories we have out there. Bring more people into the fold, help more people see what we're doing. And just be dears, be darlings. Just hang out with us as well. The most important thing, like I said, you can do is follow us in the feeds. Let us know what stories are worthy of chatting up. And of course, emailing us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. With that, we're done with this thing. the things you might not have heard, the news updates for the morning. Their morning, as I'm producing this show, are done for this Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Now, in about 5 minutes, we're going to turn things around and give you things you might ought to know. This is our fun stuff. These are our birthdays, our day in things in history, and the fun thing to celebrate today. So, if you want to get that one, we're cutting it off now. So, this show is less than 50 minutes to give you a break and go from there. If you're looking for more of that stuff, just stay on this feed wherever you're seeing this video live and you'll see it there, or subscribe to the same feed is there as well. We we love you guys immensely. Can't do this, literally can't do this without you. We'll see you again tomorrow for the new stuff and things you might not have heard for a Wednesday edition.